11 cheap foods sit on shelves your prep guides walked past. $40 at the international grocery aisle buys a stack that outlasts a $300 freeze-dried bucket on per pound shelf life when you repack them correctly. The reason a kitchen-grade bag fails at 6-month storage is not the food inside it. Walk your kitchen tonight. The thin plastic sleeve of rice on the bottom shelf, the clear pouch of dried milk near the coffee, the cardboard tube of salt. Every one of those is a kitchen-grade container. None of them was built to keep oxygen out for 4 years. Look at the math on that. The same oxygen that browns an apple slice in 12 minutes is the oxygen working on your stored food. Every hour you do not notice it.
But this component here, the oxygen absorber,
Here's the engineering reality. The villain in your pantry is not the freeze-dried bucket industry. The villain is a reflex. The consumer ordinary pantry bag reflex, where you store survival food in the same container class as cereal and seasoning. Then assume the printed date on the side is doing the work. The Utah State University Extension ran a 4-year storage trial that says it is not. We will get to their numbers. First, the 11 items. These are foods you already know how to cook. None of them are exotic. None of them require a license. They live in 3 aisles the prep supply industry does not stock, and the prep content channels rarely surface. The international or ethnic grocery aisle, the bulk foods bin at a chain like Winco or Aldi's international section, and the dry goods rack at a restaurant supply store like Restaurant Depot. The price difference between those aisles and the prep store default version of the same legume is not 5%. It is a multiple. 1 pound of split mung dal at Patel Brothers in any major metro runs about $1.40 on a normal week. The same lentil class in a sealed prep pouch from an emergency supply retailer is closer to $4.20 a pound. Same legume, same protein per ounce, same shelf life when you repack it. 3 times the price for a printed label and a 5 ml bag. Here is what the audit measured that the marketing does not. The 5 ml bag is doing real work. The 1 ml grocery aisle bag is not. The difference between a kitchen-grade thin plastic container and a proper barrier is not visible to the eye, and it is not visible on the calendar either. It is visible at month 48 when you open the bag, and the dried milk inside smells like cardboard, and the fat fraction has gone stale. That is the failure mode the Utah State University Extension measured in a 4-year audit. Same dried milk, same starting batch, 2 containers, ordinary plastic bag, and number 10 metal can. After 4 years, the milk in the bag was rated statistically less acceptable than the milk in the can. Oxidized, stale, edible in the survival sense, ruined in the cooking sense. Trace the failure backward, and the bag is the variable. The shopping rule: 3 aisles your prep guides skipped. Aisle 1 is the international or ethnic grocery aisle. Patel Brothers if your metro has one. H-Mart for East Asian dry goods. 99 Ranch for Pacific Rim staples. Any of them on any normal Saturday sells the same calorie-dense storage staples you would buy from a freeze-dried supply company at a third to a fifth of the per pound price.
That's the biggest
Split
slice
mung
of our
dal at
survival.
$1.40 a pound. Red lentils at $1.50 to $1.80. Parboiled rice at about $1.20.
$1.20
Pearl
for
barley
rice.
at $1.10.
That's ridiculous.
Dried whole fat milk powder from the South Asian or Latin section, around $3 a pound when the prep store version is closer to $9. Look at the math on that. A $40 grocery run at one of these stores buys you the protein, carbohydrate, fat coverage portion of a long-term shelf before you have repacked a single ounce. Aisle 2 is the bulk foods bin at Winco, at Aldi's international section, or at a chain that sells flour and grain by the pound out of gravity feed hoppers. The per-pound math is similar to the international aisle. The advantage is variety: whole oats, cracked wheat, hard red wheat berries, pearl barley, polenta-grade cornmeal, pinto beans, black beans, chickpeas. All of it is the same grade as what shows up in a prep pouch, sold at the price a restaurant pays. The disadvantage is the bin. Gravity-fed hoppers are not sealed. The product has been exposed to store air for weeks, and the bag they give you at checkout is thinner than the international aisle one. You repack it the day you bring it home, not next month. Aisle 3 is the restaurant supply store. Restaurant Depot, Sam's Club Business membership, Costco bulk side. This is where number 10 cans of dehydrated onion, garlic powder, tomato powder, dried whole milk, and bouillon base live. A six-pack of number 10 cans of any of those on a normal Tuesday at Restaurant Depot runs $40 to $70, depending on item. Same can, same metal, same headspace, same hermetic seal as the $80 prep supply version. The label is plain. The math is the same. The part the manufacturer doesn't tell you is that the can is doing 90% of the work, and the printed label on the side is doing the rest. 4 to 5 items already on your eventual list, just from naming the 3 aisles. Mung dal, red lentils, parboiled rice, dried whole milk powder, pearl barley. 5 out of 11 mapped to aisle and price tag, and we have not opened the Utah State University audit yet. So let's open it. Utah State University Extension runs a Preserve the Harvest series, food preservation guidance from a university extension service, written for real households who store real food. Their Packaging Foods Guide is the technical spine for everything I am about to say. The URL is in the description. Read it after the video. For the next 10 minutes, take the numbers. Their dried milk study. Same dried whole milk, same starting moisture, same storage room. 2 containers, ordinary plastic bag versus number 10 metal can. After 4 years, the panel rated the bag-stored milk statistically less acceptable. Oxidized flavor. Stale. The can-stored milk read closer to original. Same product, same time, 2 failure outcomes. The variable was the barrier. The bag let oxygen through at a rate the can did not. Their guidance on oils. Plastics allow significant oxygen transfer over 1 to 2 years for stored fats and oils. Metal cans resist oxygen transfer better. That single sentence kills half the prepping internet's advice about storing cooking oil in peat soda bottles. If you are stacking vegetable oil or coconut oil or ghee for a multi-year shelf, the plastic bottle is a 1 to 2 year container. The metal can is longer. Move stored cooking oil out of the PETE bottle into a metal container within a year of purchase. Their guidance on spices. Spice and herb flavor lives in plant oils that oxidize on contact with oxygen. Airtight mylar or glass, plus oxygen absorbers required for long storage. Flavor and color loss is the failure signal. Translation: every cardboard spice tube and every clear plastic shaker in your kitchen is a 6-month container. The flavor degrades on contact, on the shelf, in the light, before you notice. By month 6, the cumin tastes like cardboard, and the printed expiration date has not moved. Their guidance on white rice. Long-term containers for polished rice are PETE bottles, glass jars, number 10 cans, or mylar bags. 1 number 10 can of polished rice holds approximately 5 7/10 pounds, about 2 6/10 kilos. That number matters because it lets you do the actual storage math. 28 number 10 cans is roughly 160 pounds of rice, which is roughly 6 months of 1 cup per day rice servings for a single adult in a cubic foot and a half of pantry space. Plain numbers, no marketing. Their guidance on dried eggs. Dried egg powder requires a tight, unopened seal, plus protection from moisture and from rodent or insect ingress. Once the seal is broken, shelf life drops sharply. That last part is the engineering twist. The failure boundary on dried eggs is not the calendar date printed on the can. It is the seal break. The day you open the can to scoop out a quarter cup for pancakes is the day the clock restarts at a much faster rate. A sealed number 10 can on the shelf is one storage problem. A reclosed number 10 can with a snap lid on the same shelf is a different storage problem entirely. Smart-dumb contrast. The dumb version of long-term storage is a $300 freeze-dried bucket, sealed at the factory, sitting on your shelf, with you patting yourself on the back for owning it. The smart version is a $5 5mm Mylar bag from a roll on Amazon or USA Emergency Supply, plus a 300 cubic centimeter oxygen absorber from the same retailer, plus a $1.50 pound of rice or dal from Patel Brothers, sealed at your kitchen counter with a cheap impulse sealer. Per pound of usable calories. The second stack runs about $8, including the repack hardware amortized across the roll. The first stack runs closer to $25. Same shelf life when both are sealed correctly. The barrier physics is identical. The price multiple is 3. Anti-tip. Do not store dried milk in the ordinary kitchen-grade plastic bag the international aisle sold it to you in. The bag looks identical to a 5mm Mylar. It is not. The Utah State University audit shows a measurable difference at year 4. The failure mode is invisible until you taste it. Transfer the dried milk into a Mylar bag with oxygen absorber, or into a number 10 can if you have a can seamer, within a week of bringing it home. The audit is not theoretical. The audit happened. The panel tasted both, and one container failed. Walk to your pantry right now. Open the door. Look at the bottom shelf. How many of those bags are ordinary kitchen grade? When was the last time you opened any of them? What is the seal state on the dried milk container, or the powdered egg container, or the spice jar, sealed, snap lid, or open? Where does the daylight hit those shelves between noon and 4 o'clock in the afternoon? If you can answer all 4 of those questions in under 20 seconds without looking, your pantry is run as a system. If you cannot, the system is running you. The Utah State University 4-year audit was measuring what happens on a shelf where nobody answers those questions. Their dried milk lost flavor in plastic. Their oils lost integrity in plastic. Their spices lost potency on contact with daylight and oxygen. None of it failed catastrophically at the 7-month mark with a smell. It failed quietly on the calendar, in storage rooms where the variable was the barrier. The audit measured a slow leak. 4 years of small drift on a shelf where nobody was watching. Toolkit for the repack. A 5-pound roll of 5mm Mylar bags, about $35 at USA Emergency Supply or on Amazon. A pack of 100 300 cubic centimeter oxygen absorbers, about $14 at the same. A cheap handheld impulse sealer, about $30, runs on a wall outlet, seals 2 inches of Mylar at a time. A case of number 10 cans, plus a hand can seamer, about $90 total at USA Emergency Supply or LDS Home Storage Center, if you have one nearby. Total tool cost, under $180 one time, amortizes across years of repack runs. If you keep a system at home that has to work, subscribe. I look at how things actually break, not how they are marketed. The first failure mode cluster is oxidation and oxygen transfer. This is the cluster the Utah State University audit measured most directly. 5 items live here. Dried whole milk powder. International aisle, around $3 a pound. Repack into a Mylar bag with a 300 cc oxygen absorber on the day you bring it home. Do not leave it in the ordinary plastic bag the store sold it in. The 4-year audit number is the warning label on that bag, written in another building 20 years ago. Sealed properly into Mylar, the same milk goes longer than the bag did. Sealed into a number 10 can with a hand seamer, longer still. The price per pound at the international aisle is a third of the pep store version. The barrier you add at home is the difference. Cooking oils, vegetable oil, coconut oil, ghee. International aisle or restaurant supply, between $3 and $7 a pound, depending on type. The Utah State University guidance is direct. Plastic allows significant oxygen transfer over 1 to 2 years for stored fats. Metal cans resist it better. If you are storing oil for more than a year, use metal can containers, not PET bottles. Ghee in a small metal tin from the Indian grocery aisle is a longer shelf than a plastic bottle equivalent on the same shelf. The metal tin ghee from the South Asian aisle keeps for 3 years on the same shelf where the plastic bottle version goes off at 15 months. Years ago, I ran a side audit on a friend's basement pantry. 5-gallon food-grade buckets, all the right gear, 10 years of stored rice. 3 of those buckets had off flavor when we sampled. The other 2 were clean. The difference was not the store or the year. The off-flavor buckets had each been opened twice for top-up, the lid pulled, a few cups scooped out, the Gamma Seal lid replaced. The clean buckets had stayed sealed since day 1. The seal break was the failure boundary. The calendar was the same. Dried whole spices, cumin seed, coriander, fennel, black pepper. International aisle, often $2 to $4 a pound, versus $8 to $15 in pre-ground supermarket jars. The flavor is in plant oils that oxidize the moment air touches them. The cardboard spice tube in your cabinet is a 6-month container. A small Mylar bag plus a tiny oxygen absorber, or a glass jar with a tight lid kept out of daylight, is a multi-year container. The cardboard tube loses flavor by month 6. The Mylar bag with a 50 cc absorber holds the same flavor at year 3. Bouillon and soup base cubes. International aisle or restaurant supply, around 20 cents per cube in bulk versus 50 cents per cube in supermarket pouches. The failure mode here is twofold. Oxidation if the foil wrap is compromised, plus moisture clumping if the storage room runs humid. Repack the bulk pack into a Mylar bag with a small oxygen absorber, and you have moved the failure boundary out by years. The freeze-dried bucket as default frame would have you buy bouillon as part of a $400 pail of pre-mixed meal kits. The international aisle stack puts the same bouillon, in cube form, into your shelf for under $10 per 50 cubes. Whole bean coffee. Costco or restaurant supply, around $6 to $8 a pound. The failure mode is identical to spice, flavor in plant oils, oxidation on contact with oxygen. Whole bean keeps longer than pre-ground because the surface area exposed to oxygen is smaller. Repack into Mylar with an oxygen absorber. The freeze-dried instant coffee equivalent costs 3 to 5 times per usable cup. The whole bean repack is the same caffeine, longer lasting, sealed at your counter. 5 items in the oxidation cluster, all 4 of them with a price per pound multiple of 3 to 5 versus the prep store default version. all 5 anchored to the same Utah State University audit logic. The barrier is the variable. The calendar is the secondary effect, and the freeze-dried bucket as default frame is a marketing answer to an engineering problem. The hidden multiplier stack, what these 11 items become when you stop storing them like seasonings. This second cluster is moisture ingress plus rodent insect protection. 6 items remaining: dried lentils, split mung dal, red lentils, brown lentils, French green lentils. International aisle, between $120 and $180 a pound. The failure mode for lentils is moisture rather than oxidation. Lentils stored in an ordinary plastic bag in a pantry that runs humid will absorb enough water over months to support mold or to germinate when rehydrated badly. Repack into Mylar with an oxygen absorber and a moisture control silica packet if your climate runs damp. Storage room temperature below 75 degrees, daylight kept out. Same legume, 3 failure modes prevented. 20 cents on the dollar versus the prep pouch version. Tag the bag with the repack date in permanent marker. The bag on the shelf becomes a date-stamped storage unit instead of a hopeful guess. Parboiled rice. International aisle or restaurant supply, around $120 a pound. Long-term containers per Utah State University, PETE. Glass. Number 10 cans, Mylar. One number 10 can holds about 5 7/10 pounds of polished rice. 28 cans is roughly 160 pounds, roughly half a year of 1-cup servings for a single adult. The math is the math. The failure modes for rice are moisture and rodent, same lentils, plus the weevil problem if the rice came from a bulk bin that had been exposed to store air for weeks. The fix is the same. Mylar, oxygen absorber, sealed within a week of purchase. The container does the rodent work. The oxygen absorber does the weevil work. Pearl barley, whole oats, cracked wheat, hard red wheat berries. Bulk bin at Winco or Restaurant Depot, between 90 cents and $150 a pound. Same failure profile as rice, moisture, rodent, occasional insect at the bulk bin source. Same repack, Mylar, oxygen absorber, label, date, shelf. Pearl barley adds about 40% more cooking volume per dry pound than rice, which is the kind of detail the marketing on a prep pouch never mentions because it does not fit on the label. The bulk bin pound costs you $1 and change. The repacked Mylar pound costs you $1 and change, plus about 30 cents of bag and absorber. The same pound in a prep bucket runs $4 to $5. Dried mushrooms, shiitake, wood ear, porcini, if you can find them affordable. Dried Chinese black mushrooms from the East Asian grocery aisle. H Mart and 99 Ranch carry them in 2-ounce and 4-ounce bags, between $2 and $6 per bag. They straddle 2 failure modes, moisture ingress and slow oxidation of the residual oil in the cap. Repack into a small Mylar bag with a 100 cubic centimeter oxygen absorber. 2 ounces of dried shiitake reconstitutes to about 3/4 of a pound of usable mushroom, concentrated calories, deep umami flavor, decade-plus shelf life when sealed correctly. The freeze-dried mushroom equivalent in a prep pouch is 4 times the per-ounce price. Dried egg powder. Restaurant supply, around $40 to $50 per number 10 can. The Utah State University fact maps onto this group exactly. Tight, unopened seal, plus protection from moisture and from rodent or insect damage, plus a shelf life that drops sharply once the seal is broken. Once you scoop the first quarter cup out, the clock restarts at a much faster rate. The fix is buy small cans rather than large ones, or transfer the open contents into a smaller Mylar bag with a fresh oxygen absorber within a week. The seal break is the failure boundary, not the calendar date. Hardtack crackers and dry pasta. International aisle for dry pasta, semolina pasta from Italian or Mediterranean grocery sections, around $1 to $2 a pound versus $3 to $4 at supermarket pasta brands. Hardtack from restaurant supply or military surplus channels varies. Both fail through moisture ingress and insect at long time scales. Repack into mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, date tag, store in a cool, dry shelf. Dry pasta is sometimes overlooked in long storage plans because it is so cheap people forget to include it. 40 pounds of repacked dry pasta is 40,000 calories of carbohydrate, sitting on a shelf at under $60 all in. Salt and sugar. Winco or restaurant supply. Salt around 40 cents a pound. White sugar around 50 cents a pound. Caveat on this slot: salt and sugar do not fail nutritionally on any reasonable time scale. They fail by clumping in humid storage, which is a usability problem, not a shelf life problem. Repack into a sealed container, glass jar, mylar bag, food-grade bucket with a tight lid. Add a silica desiccant if your storage room runs humid. The point of including salt and sugar in this stack is that an ordinary number 10 can stack without seasoning is a stack of bland calories. 2 number 10 cans of salt and 1 of sugar bring the cooking math back to edible. That is the 11. Dried whole milk powder. Cooking oils. Dried whole spices. Bouillon. Whole bean coffee. Dried lentils. Parboiled rice. Pearl barley plus the wheat and oat family. Dried mushrooms. Dried egg powder. Dry pasta and hard tack. Plus the salt and sugar usability layer. All of it lives at the international or ethnic grocery aisle, the bulk foods bin, or the restaurant supply store. None of it comes from a freeze-dried supply company. The full grocery run, before repack hardware, sits in the $40 to $70 range, depending on the pounds you pull. Add the repack hardware once: mylar roll, oxygen absorbers, impulse sealer, optional number 10 can seamer, and the per-pound long-term storage math undercuts the prep store default by a factor of 3 to 5. The barrier physics is the same. The cans are the same metal. The mylar is the same 5 mil. The Utah State University four-year audit applies the same way. The price multiple runs 3 to 5 times across every item on this list, and that gap is what you pay for the printed label and the marketing pouch, nothing else. 3 things this Saturday morning. 1. The $5 mylar bag plus a 300 cubic centimeter oxygen absorber is the cheapest item that closes the oxidation failure family. If you buy nothing else this week, buy the roll and the absorbers and an impulse sealer. About $80 total at USA Emergency Supply or on Amazon. That single purchase converts every ordinary kitchen-grade bag of dried milk, spice, coffee, and bouillon already in your pantry into a multi-year storage unit. The same Saturday afternoon, you bring it home. 2. The Utah State University Extension Preserved Harvest Food Storage and Packaging Guide is the source. The URL is in the description. Read it the same night you watch this video. It will take you 40 minutes. It is written by a University Extension Service, not a prep supply company. Their dried milk numbers, their oil numbers, their spice numbers, their dried egg numbers, those are the spine. Your repack runs are the application. 3. Saturday morning, go to the international grocery aisle nearest you. Patel Brothers, if your metro has one. H-Mart for the East Asian dry goods. 99 Ranch if you are on the Pacific coast. Stand at the dal section. Read the per-pound tag against the per-pound math you just learned. Pick out $40 of mung dal and red lentils and parboiled rice and dried whole milk and dried shiitake. Carry the bags home. Open the mylar roll on your kitchen counter. Cut a bag to size for the dal. Drop in a 300cc absorber. Seal the impulse sealer across the top. Date tag the bag in permanent marker. Stack it on the shelf next to the number 10 can of rice you sealed last weekend. Next Saturday, walk back to the dal section and start the next bag.